The new law forces sex offenders to hand over their internet passwords, screen names, and email addresses to authorities for monitoring purposes. While federal law does require authorities to track internet addresses, Georgia is going a step further, and Georgia does have 16,000 registered sex offenders. The issue here is everybody knows that waterboarding is torture, and that was an approved policy. It is torture. Everyone knows that, and that was a policy under the Bush administration. Why don't we talk about that?
One at a time.
And in 2004, he got a DWI for driving while intoxicated under the influence. He didn't learn then. Now we have this happening again. He didn't learn now. And I think what's most appalling is that his sponsors are not backing out. What his sponsors are doing is they're saying, Omega went so far as to say this is a non-issue. It isn't a non-issue. This is important, and something has to happen. He has to be penalized for this behavior. He's got a lot of growing up to do, and it's growing up time now.
She took the ring, and she didn't give it back. But I think Stephen is very, very lucky because it really depends on which state you're in. Some states think, you know, if you're the person that was the dumpee, you get to keep the ring. However, in Texas, since she broke it off, she has to return the ring. So Stephen can get his money back for the ring. The other piece is he says that she borrowed all this money. And typically, I would say, go to small claims court in Texas and get your money back yourself. However, there's a $5,000 limit in Texas. So Stephen, go get an attorney, get your money back.
At least some of it.
At least some of it. At least some of it.
Our Sunny Hostin found another way to stay in shape. Oh, yeah. And she's doing it live. Look at Sunny. Oh, my. Dr. Gupta is going to tell us why this type of exercise is actually very good for your health.
This is our legal analyst, isn't it?
Where does Bernie Madoff wind up?
After seeing what happened yesterday and hearing the stories of the victims, and we know that the judge is going to consider all that, I think he's going to make sure that he dies in prison. In New York, and really it depends on the state that you're in. Some states will only give you 3 days notice to move out. Some states give you upwards to 60 days, as in California. Unbelievably, foreclosure trumps your rental lease, and so you will have to move out.
The ACLU is saying there are 1 million names on the list. The FBI is saying that's not correct. There are about 400,000 names on the list. But what we do know is that more than 30,000 Americans have asked airlines to take them off the list. So at the very least, more than 30,000 Americans are affected. We've heard Jim Robinson, a former Justice Department official. Nelson Mandela was on the list. Ted Kennedy, Cat Stevens. One of the more egregious examples that we've heard of is a gentleman by the name of Akifur Rahman, computer software design owner, Muslim descent, born here in the United States, has been detained 4 times over the span of approximately 1 year. One time, Kieran, with his 2 young children and his wife, a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, for 6 hours. So this is affecting many, many people.
A new law in California aimed to protect children, but not in the way you might initially think.
Exactly. You know, it's interesting. It just seems to be such common sense. But in California, the new law is no smoking in cars with children, people. California has outlawed smoking in a car when anyone under the age of 18 is present. Violators are going to be punished by a fine of up to $100. So no smoking in cars. We know about the effects of secondhand smoke.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
American Morning legal analyst Sunny Hostin is covering all sides of this unprecedented case.
A dream that became a nightmare for 10 nurses recruited from the Philippines. Now all of them face criminal charges after resigning from a Long Island nursing home.
What exactly are the nurses being charged with?
Endangering the welfare of a child and endangering the welfare of a physically disabled person.
Sharon Bannon's 24-year-old daughter, Jody, has severe brain damage and suffers from a seizure disorder.
I could have lost my girl. I'm not there to take care of her. I need them to take care of her.
What do you say to folks that say, well, actually, it's Avalon's fault?
There was no critical reason why the nurses needed to resign without notice.
American Morning's legal analyst Sunny Hostin is here with her pet egg.
Here's not my pet egg.
Here's
I
our
borrowed
household.
the pet egg.
Well, this one came from our household, so cheers.
It has a cult following in the newsroom. I mean, I don't want to out my producer, but she has one. Several people have one. Some people love them, some people hate them. It's just everywhere.
So what's the deal with these the people in the commercial?
They are saying that they were duped. They are saying that they got paid a couple of $100s to shoot this thing last year, and that they thought that it was just going to be an internet infomercial, and now it is everywhere. You walk into Bed Bath & Beyond, it's there, and they just weren't compensated. And I really think, and after speaking, getting a statement from the plaintiff's attorney, it's pretty clear it's about money. It's about compensation, because this thing is big. Verbal contracts, though, John and Karen, are binding in many, many states, but the problem is you've got to prove that it existed. How do you prove it? The takeaway, I think, is get it in writing. New Jersey doesn't require
family consent to carry out a wish to be an organ donor. However, laws do vary from state to state. But the best way to ensure that your wishes to be an organ donor will be carried out is communication.